Welcome to ThermTech, one of the largest commercial heat treating companies in the Midwest. This video will show an overview of the many jobs that our employees perform every day. A major product segment is our large batch temper line, which treats parts for the heavy truck industry. Here we see an operator removing hot work from the furnace at about 1600 degrees. He will then transfer it to a quench tank. After it has soaked in the quench tank, the load is raised up and taken to a wash station. Following washing, the iron castings must be inspected for hardness. To do this, the operator uses a Burnell hardness testing machine to put an indentation on the prepared surface. The indentation is measured using an optical scope, and the hardness value is input into the computer system. Once the parts have finished final inspection, they are removed from the heat treat basket and placed back into customer containers for shipment. Tagging is a critical task for every shop floor employee. When properly filled out, this tag displays the order number of pieces, and current process step. The production area seen here also runs tempering processes. However, this area uses fully automated equipment that does not require the use of lift trucks. This operator is preparing to load a furnace. The furnace load is transferred down the line and pushed onto the furnace elevator by a charge cart. The furnace door opens and a chain-driven handler pulls the entire load into the furnace hot zone, which is operating in the range of 1500 degrees. Operators stand by to ensure this takes place smoothly. These furnaces are controlled by a computerized controller that runs pre-programmed recipes. Here the operator is confirming that the load is in the proper start position and the proper recipe has been set in the controller. Once the recipe has ran to completion, it is time to perform the quench discharge cycle. Once initiated, the furnace door opens, and the furnace handler pushes the load out over the quench elevator. The flames coming out of the furnace are from the internal furnace atmosphere that protects the surface of the work under high temperatures. When the load has been fully transferred over the elevator, it immediately drops down into a molten salt quench bath where it will be held for a set time period. This will be followed by washing and inspection. After heat treating, it is common for parts to require additional surface cleaning. This is done by an operation called blasting, in which a steel grit is blasted over the parts at high velocity. This tumble blaster loads work onto a rotating conveyor with an automatic lifting mechanism. After the cycle is complete, parts are discharged onto a shaker table. This operator is using a stamping gun to place a permanent work order mark on the forgings coming off of the blaster. This stamp will provide permanent traceability to the heat treat load once parts are in service. Seen here during loading, the most common furnace type operated at ThermTech is called a batch internal quench furnace. These furnaces perform the heating and quenching cycle completely internally. The flame screen in front of the furnace door is a safety feature that burns off excess furnace atmosphere gas. Following the completion of a quench cycle, the load is removed out of the front chamber with a charge cart. The smoke and sheen seen on the parts is from excess quench oil. Immediately after quenching, these parts are transferred into a tempering oven, which reheats the load to about 1000 degrees Fahrenheit. This greatly improves the toughness properties of the parts. In special cases where components only need to be hardened on an outside surface, an operation called flame hardening may be used. To do this, the part is loaded onto a spinning flame table where torches heat the outer surface to the desired temperature, usually 1600 degrees. An operator makes minor adjustments to the torches as the part heats. Once the part has been heated to the desired temperature, it is lowered into a quench bath, resulting in a cure that is hard on the outside but has a ductile core. Flame hardening can also be done with a hand torch. In this case, only the top face of these pins will be hardened, and the operators judge the proper temperature by eyesight. This skill comes with experience. As a result of heating and quenching, many parts tend to distort beyond our customers' acceptable tolerances. This operator is locating the out-of-straightness areas on this crankshaft using a dial indicator. He then strikes the part with a brass rod over the high spot to knock it back into the proper dimension. When more force is required, a hydraulic straightening press is used. Here a basket support rail is being straightened so that it can be used as a fixturing support in more furnace loads. No matter how bent a part might look, it can usually be mechanically straightened after hardening. This is a small batch salt-to-salt hardening line in which parts are heated and quenched in molten salt. The operator uses an overhead crane to perform the transfer from high heat salt into quenched salt. The final bath is a hot water bath to rinse off any residual salt. The operator then lowers the next batch into the high heat salt to begin the next cycle. This line is ideal for small orders of steel parts that require fast turnaround. Almost all parts must pass through final hardness inspection prior to shipment. This inspector is preparing these large castings for hardness inspection. First, he grinds into the part, followed by a buffing step to polish the surface. He then transfers it to a Grinnell hardness testing machine, which puts an indent into the part with a 3,000 kilogram load. This indentation is measured with an automatic scope to determine the final hardness value. The larger the indentation, the softer the part. Almost every part that goes into a furnace must be placed into the heat treating baskets in a specific orientation to reduce distortion and promote uniform heating and cooling rates throughout the load. These plate castings must be racked in vertically so that they do not bend under high temperatures. Heavier parts are transferred to the basket with overhead cranes. These bars will be loaded vertically. Smaller parts like these small spools may require additional screen supports placed in the basket to keep them standing upright without touching one another while in the furnace. Larger disc forgings are racked vertically, but are also being staggered so that the quench oil will flow through uniformly throughout the entire load. Certain heat treating processes are designed to add additional carbon to the surface of steel, thereby making it harder. Sometimes customers request that areas of the part must remain soft, so a special masking paint must be applied prior to hardening the parts. This is done by using regular paint brushes, and usually 2 coats of paint are applied. Without regular maintenance and cleaning, the factory environment will quickly fall into disrepair. Every employee is expected to spend some time every day keeping their work area neat and orderly. Sweeping is one of the simplest yet most important tasks that must be performed regularly. Smaller parts that require post-heat treat cleaning can be blasted with less aggressive shot media than the large blasters previously seen. This could be with a rubber belt tumble blaster or the hand blaster seen here. Much of ThermTech's operation is paperless, and computer skills are critical. All orders are tracked through each operation step using an internally developed software system that is entirely real-time based. Any work instructions needed for a job can be accessed directly from the shop floor from any computer station. All furnaces run on digital charts, which can also be accessed from computer stations to keep track of cycle times and temperatures. ThermTech operates several specialized furnaces called vacuum furnaces. These are electrically powered and perform all heating under a vacuum. This results in parts maintaining high-quality surface finish even after being heated in excess of 1800 degrees. This operator is using a hand cart to unload a vacuum furnace. He then moves these parts to the next operation in the computer tracking system and removes the load of the crane so that it can be transferred to the next operation. The next load has already been staged and it is placed on the load cart for furnace loading. All furnaces are operated with pre-staged loads to minimize downtime. Once the load is in the proper position in the furnace, the operator closes the door. He then programs the times and temperatures into the controller and starts a cycle. This vacuum furnace has 3 chambers. The operator uses a mobile lift to load the front end of the furnace where it will be preheated. Then the door is sealed and the furnace draws a vacuum prior to heating. After the load has soaked at high temperature for the set time period, it is automatically transferred to the quench chamber, which can be observed through a sight glass. After quenching in oil, the load is removed and it is transferred to a washer to remove any excess oil. ThermTech also has larger single-chamber vacuum furnaces that are loaded and unloaded manually with lift trucks. The operator ensures that the load is in the proper position before closing the door and sealing the furnace so that the cycle can start. After the heat treat processing is complete, it is critical that parts are packaged with great care so that they are not damaged in transit. A wide variety of packaging methods are used depending on the parts. Some parts even require individual wrapping. Once packaged, the inspector finals out the order in the tracking system and compares the shipping documents. Now the parts are ready for truck drivers to load onto their delivery truck and return to the customer. Each truck driver has their own route organized by geographical area and is responsible for loading and unloading as well as packaging inspection. There are many steps that go into producing the finished heat-treated product, and it takes teamwork amongst numerous employees to produce consistent quality delivered on time. If the operations covered in this presentation appeal to you, please contact us about becoming a member of our team.